What's your favorite television show? I like Infinity Train a lot. What's your favorite movie? Huge fan of Dead Leaves. Just an amazing movie for me. Pretty simple questions, I know. Pretty simple, easy questions. You could answer those with your eyes closed or maybe when you're asleep. Pretty simple. Hey, what are your boundaries? Most people don't know the answers to that question, and when people state their boundaries, they don't follow their boundaries in a relationship or a friendship. They just have these boundaries and hope the other person will agree to them at some point in time. I have a solution for you. Maybe you need to actually consider being... That edit took 9 minutes. No, seriously, not isolated forever, obviously, not becoming some cave-dwelling philosopher who only speaks in some runic, ancient TikTok language that actively destroyed me. You guys seen that one lady on TikTok speaking that crazy language? I think it's called light language. I don't know. It sounds cool as all. I want to learn that. I really want to learn that really bad. Just alone long enough to hear your own thoughts. Just over and over again, maybe echoing inside of your brain, hitting ping pong off yourself. Some people genuinely do not know who they are outside of a relationship. They just don't know. Their personality changes depending on who they are dating. It's weird to see. Their boundaries change, their interests change, their politics change, their standards change. Everything moves depending on whoever happens to be standing closest to them. Very chameleon. Is it you know what's crazy? Is it chameleon or chameleon? A French man told me it was chameleon, and I've been saying it that way for quite some time. I haven't heard the word in quite some time. I was saying mecha chameleon, and everybody said it's mecha chameleon. I don't know. Somebody correct me. I have no clue. Chameleon sounds tough, though. Even if you do tell me, I might not change that forever. Chameleon. Tough saying. Maybe you need to sit there and ask yourself what you actually enjoy, what you actually believe, what you tolerate, what makes you angry, what makes you peaceful, what patterns keep repeating in your life, and why you keep allowing certain people through the same unlocked doors in your life. Have we considered this possibility for 12 seconds, my friend? I have a friend who generally does not understand what setting a boundary looks like. I just don't grasp that. It's really strange. They'll let somebody disrespect them 27 different ways to Sunday, forgive them 28 different times, and then call me confused about the 29th disrespect. I didn't know what was going on. My sibling in Christ, this person has been doing the same thing since last Tuesday. They've been doing this the entire way through. I don't understand why you're doing this. They showed you the trailer, the premiere, the director's commentary, the extended edition, and somehow every week you were shocked by the plot. Oh my God, it's so confusing. At some point you have to recognize that constantly tolerating something just teaches people that you will tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? A boundary is not saying, okay, please stop this every 3 days while continuing to accept it forever. That's not how a boundary works. A boundary has to have consequences, all right? Sometimes the consequences is distance. Sometimes the consequences is ending a relationship. Sometimes the consequences is simply refusing to continue an argument. But people who are terrified of being alone will abandon every boundary they have just to keep somebody beside them. Dude, grow up. Be alone for a little bit. It's okay. And maybe you have a friend like this, you know what I mean? Where they refuse to leave and then they refuse to release the relationship and they say, oh, my partner is so selfish. My partner never listens. That my partner cheats. My partner insults me. The partner disappears for 3 days and come back saying, oh, my phone exploded in a boating accident. I wasn't on a trip cheating. Ignore what you saw in that Instagram story. And then somehow they still are together. You know what I mean? How does that happen? What happens there? You know, if that relationship continues, the fear of loneliness. That scares me a lot. There are people who would rather be miserable with somebody than peaceful alone. And I think a lot of people need to be more alone, you know? Oh, you know what it is? Being single means that, you know, you're a failure. And you don't want to be, you know, a failure. If you're lonely, something's wrong with you. Why are you alone? What are you, a psychopath? Only lonely people are psychopaths. That's disgusting. Nobody wants to be with you. You must be a failure. Adulthood is supposed to be a progress through this conveyor belt where you date, marry, move in together, have children, and become a matching Christmas pajama household. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a perfect nuclear family. That's where you're going out. So people just start treating relationships like, I don't know, just life support over time, keeping a toxic person around just because they're a person. That's stupid. That's just dumb. But then, you know, when people realize they are unhappy, everybody starts recommending external fixes, you know, Go to the gym. Start eating healthier. You know, get some keto diet in you. Get a haircut. Wake up at 5 a.m. You gotta find a mentor. You gotta read these 12 books. You gotta pick up dark psychology is what you gotta do. Drink 8 gallons of water. Buy a planner. You need to start journaling under the moon. And sure, these things can help your life. I'm not saying they don't, but none of them can automatically teach you why you keep accepting disrespect. You can have six-pack abs and absolutely have catastrophic attachment patterns. You can meal prep chicken and broccoli every Sunday while texting somebody who has called you worthless 17 times. That's obviously a thing you can do. You can become extremely productive while remaining emotionally terrified of abandonment. Oh, they're gonna abandon me. No! Sound like a wolf right there. Sound like a coyote of some sort. Yes, it sounds like an animal or something. Let me try that again. That was Mario. It was definitely Mario. When are people gonna start examining what they actually want in their lives? So what's going on with you guys? This gets me into my big issue. It's the BPD autism mental illness crowd. Yes, you have the mental illness. I'm very proud of you. Very, very proud of you for having it. So is there more to you? I don't know if it's a little known fact. It's just a fact. I have schizoaffective disorder. I have SAD. That's what I got. That means I have mood disorders, ups and downs, a little bit of mania and depression, and I have schizophrenia all compacted and pounded into one big thing. Medication. That isn't all I am, though. Somebody learns they have BPD, autism, ADHD, anxiety, whatever. I don't really care. And suddenly every aspect of their existence becomes filtered through that label. Oh, this is ADHD things. This is things that anxiety people do. Everything I do is autism. This is all BPD traits. Somebody becomes conservative, liberal, socialist, religious, atheist, whatever, and suddenly they inherit an entire package of opinions without examining any of them individually. There are some liberals I know that say, I really don't like the idea of abortion, but I do believe in free rights for everybody, but I do think that aborting a child is murderous. I know some conservatives who think the exact opposite. I think we should have less controlled government and less regulated government. I think we should have no government involvement. We should focus it on the states, but I do think that abortion is kind of cool because I don't want to be a dad. There are people that are like that. Now, labels can be useful. I know we all like our labels. I'm black, and that helps people out a lot decide if they're going to subscribe to the channel or even subscribe to my Patreon, because black people don't deserve handouts is what they think, and I got to respect that. You know, that's their decision. It's their money. They can do what they want to do. They can help you understand patterns, find community, communicate experiences, and access resources. But you're still a person underneath the category. Having one characteristic does not automatically determine your entire personality, your morality, hobbies, humor, your relationship, your worldview, favorite food, your fashion, your dreams, your values, your boundaries, or what kind of life you want. Humans are ridiculously complex, complicated creatures, and we are trying to flatten ourselves into little profile descriptions. Big reason why I don't like dating apps too. Dating app is like an ad for the best parts of your life. If you ever see me on a dating profile in your life, you probably won't because I'm in a relationship. But if you ever see me on there, you're going to see my worst traits on full display because I only ever put the worst things about me on dating apps because I think it's funny. It's just really fun for me to do so. And please understand that you're going to disagree with people who share your same identity. Isn't that fun to do so? Every trans person isn't going to have the same experience. Every girl, every boy, every intersex person, everybody's not going to have the same experience. Every white person, every Asian person, you're not going to have the same experience. You know that? You are allowed to question the community you belong to. You are allowed to discover that you agree with somebody about one thing and think they are completely ridiculous about another. You do not need to download the complete ideological expansion pack because you clicked agree once. Individuality requires tolerating contradiction. Maybe you are politically progressive and deeply traditional about some personal things. Maybe you are religious and disagree with your religious community. Maybe you have a mental illness and refuse to make every decision through that diagnosis. Maybe you love a community while criticizing something that community does. Steven Universe, I'm watching you. That is called being a human being. You're supposed to develop a worldview through experience, reflection, curiosity, mistakes, conversations, and constantly updating your understanding of oneself. I think that's why solitude matters so much. When you are constantly surrounded by partners, friends, TikTok opinions, Twitter arguments, podcasts, group chats, family expectations, political communities, fandoms, and influencers screaming at you about what kind of person you should be, you can go years without actually ever hearing yourself think. What do you think? You know, why is silence so uncomfortable for you? Nobody is here to validate your opinion, right? And that hurts. Nobody is there to tell you what the correct reaction is, and that's confusing. Nobody is there to hand you an identity. You actually have to decide, right? You might actually discover uncomfortable things too. Maybe you realize you chase relationships because rejection makes you feel worthless, right? You know? Maybe you realize you keep rescuing people because you need it to make you feel important. It makes you feel good, right? Maybe you realize you constantly argue online because your arguing and anger gives your day structure. Learning yourself is not always cute candles and journaling. Maybe you suck. And that's cool too. That's awesome. That's great. I'm happy you discovered that. Just discover something about yourself, okay? I wish more people would understand that being alone is more of a chapter more than a punishment in your book. You know what I mean? You actually can just enjoy being alone and having a fun time doing that. Spend some time learning what your boundaries are before somebody arrives and starts testing what your boundaries are. Learn what disrespect looks like to you. Learn what love looks like to you. Learn what you believe without immediately checking whether your friends approve. Learn what kind of mornings you enjoy, what kind of conversations energize you, what kind of behavior exhausts you, what dreams you actually want, which dreams were handed to you by your father and your father's father and your mother's mother and your mother's mother's mother and your grandmother's mother's mother and all the people's mother's mothers and your brothers and your sisters and your dogs and your cats. Let them learn what you are. Hey man, become somebody who can say I love you and I still disagree with you. Become somebody who can say I want companionship, but I do not require companionship to recognize my own value. Because if you never learn how to exist with yourself, guess what, buddy? You can spend your entire life becoming whatever everybody else needs you to be, and eventually wake up realizing that the one person you actually never met was yourself. Well, I'm done rambling for the day. I hope you enjoyed the video. I do this once a day, every day at 6 p.m. EST on the dot. Have a lovely day or night wherever you're at. Hopefully you subscribe to the Patreon. It's $1 a month to keep these videos pumping out like this. It's very fun for me to make. Without that being said, words to say. Oh, also, I have a Twitch. Just want to point out, I'm promoting the Twitch a bit more. I'm streaming a lot more on Twitch. Twitch.tv/SerosTV. TV twice, a little bit confusing. But you can always click the top comment to get all the links and things of that variety. I have a link tree and also in the description if you guys want to check out my stuff. Fun time there. You can talk to me and argue with me about stuff that I say on here. I stream whenever I have the time. I have a relationship to deal with and stuff, so it's very hard to keep a consistent stream schedule. I'll figure it out one of these days, but right now we're just kind of going with the flow. Well, with that being said, thank you guys so much for checking out my content, and I'm out. Peace. I'm your nigga night, be my Laurel Angelo. Happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.